Dr. Adnani, hello.
Hey, Minerva, how are you?
Hi, how are you, David? I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Awesome. I'm so happy that you're able to join us this year again.
No problem. I think we, yeah, you can remind me how we did it last year, but I think we just did like a rotation between the program directors that came. Is that right?
Yeah. So what we'll do is we have 5 people that are going to be presenting today. So we have you guys, UT Southwest, OHSU, UCSF, and Cornell.
Okay.
So we'll allow everyone to present their slides on their program, and then we'll go through some specific questions.
Sounds great.
I did create a master slide set, but I want to test your slide share if you don't mind. I have 3 of the 5 slide sets, so I'd like to test it out to make sure that you are able to share while we still have. Dr. Anani is helping us in the background, but he'll be logging off momentarily.
All right. I can't share my screen or show my video, either one.
Okay, let's see. You want to try again? And you said you cannot show your video.
Yeah.
Interesting. The video might be like a video settings for, let us double check if that's on our end, but I can see your slides now.
Okay.
And I think I think that should be fine. And let me go ahead and share my slides. Okay, and that looks like those are coming up fine. And then I will also have these, and those look like they're coming up fine. So I can stop share there. Let me see if I can. I actually don't see a way to change your ability to share your video. I only have the option of muting you. It may be something where you have to give it access, like the video permission to the computer. Not to the computer, but to like the Zoom application.
Yeah, it says the host stopped it for some reason.
Oh. Interesting. Love, can you double check that? Let me see if I can.
Yeah, I'm looking. When I click on his name, it says chat with now. I made you host, so
yeah.
Here, let me see if I can take it back and then see if I can figure that out.
I don't see anything in the host view that would allow me to control other people's videos.
Right. I stole the host back.
Okay. Yeah, I see it.
His video. Mute, chat, allow to record, allow to pin, put on hold, rename. Yeah, I don't see that option there. And your video came right up when you joined. Let me try over here. Polls, chat, webinar settings, YouTube. Show non-video participants. Yes. Show name when joining. Yeah, there's a thing that says stop incoming video, but I turned that off. So it should be fine. Here, let me always show meeting controls. Maybe that'll help. So people can see how to turn on and off their video. All right. I am going to make you host for a second, Dr. Hughes. Let's see if you can turn on your own video. All right,
Okay.
I have made you host. Let's see if you can.
Victory,
Look
nicely
at that.
done. All right, now I got to give you back the host because that's way too much responsibility for me. Let's see.
You can pass it to Minerva.
All right, how do I do that?
Oh, I can figure it out. Here, I'll steal it from you.
Yeah,
I stole it.
Okay.
Love, are you able to, I see that it took it back from you. And David,
Yep.
I can see you fine now.
That's
Um,
weird.
I made it to you.
okay, I'm just gonna look for where you see that. I'm seeing 6 participants in my, oh, I see attendees, that's why.
Yeah, you can see the attendee list.
I do not see, oh, I see it now. On the panelists, it does give me, I'm gonna just try this. I don't think it actually gives me the ability to change your video settings. Like I see that it's turned off, but I don't see a way to change the video settings. And I see that Karen just joined. So we'll wait for her to get set up and then maybe we can see if she's able to do this because it may just be that we have to redo the what you just did for the videos.
Yeah, it says I can't turn mine on.
Okay,
That
that's
is
really
so weird.
strange.
I've
I've
never
never
had that
seen that.
happen.
Oh,
when
I
we're-
see it. I see it. Okay, try it again.
There we go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. So Love, maybe you want to let them know on the other webinar too, because there is an option there that says allow panelists to unmute themselves, rename and start video, and it just has to be clicked.
Oh, okay. I will check that on the other ones.
Yeah, just in case they're having issues as well. So welcome. And I was just saying that we expect 5 folks to be on the presenter side. So we should be getting started shortly. Thank you so much,
Right.
both of you. Karen, thank you so much for joining us again this year.
Of course, my pleasure. I apologize. I've been, trauma. So I'm.
Absolutely. No worries. Love, you guys are recording.
Yes, it should be going to the virtual cloud is where it should be going.
And then I know that you're going to log off at some point. So you're going to help get it onto the live stream.
Yeah, once it's done recording, it usually sends you like an email or a link, recording's done or been uploaded to the cloud. And then I have to shoot it to Dr. Matthews and then she gets it into the YouTube page and everywhere else.
Okay. And then I know that you're going to step away, but are you going to actually exit the whole session?
I think I'll be exiting the whole session unless, actually, no, I'll probably stay on as like a background panelist and just listen. You never know when something goes crazy. So
I'm worried that if you step out, the whole thing will not, it will stop transmitting or it won't record entirely. And then I don't want to have to fumble in the middle of it to switch the recording.
I share that fear and I don't want the wrath of Dr. Matthews. So you guys will just stay on my phone as I walk around the house.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Love, Dr. Anani is at home with twinsies. And so we're cutting into bath time and all the other nap time routines, bedtime routines. So I appreciate so much your help in making sure that we get this rolling.
I appreciate you guys and I appreciate when you take my calls for the traumas and random stuff like that. So thank you all.
So we'll give it another couple minutes. And I see that Leah is on. And Leah, I hope you can hear us okay.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for joining us. So we have Karen and David. I'm expecting Andre Campbell from UCS staff and Kareem Abdelfattah from UT Southwestern. He did message that he's going to be a little bit late. So once we get Andre on, like, we should be good to go. I just want to check with you. Can you try sharing your screen so we can make sure that we can see your slides?
All right, I got a brand new computer, which is exciting, but also not quite sure where to go.
Terrifying.
Absolutely.
Oh no. Give me a
Are you
minute.
able to share? Okay. We just want to make sure that it's not like the settings that are keeping you from sharing.
Yeah, it's one of those. So I'm glad I'm testing it now.
Okay, that's a little, I'm getting blinded by my lights here. All right, wonderful. Welcome.
Hey,
Awesome. Andre, I am able to share the PDF file, but if you want to test your slides, I can also have you share your screen when we have you up for presenting. Either way, whatever you.
yeah, so I mean, I'm ready to share my talk. Let me just bring it up.
Yeah, if you don't mind just testing it out to be sure.
Here. Okay, so let me just see. I'm gonna try to share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Can everybody see it or not?
I do see it. Yep.
Okay, so it looks like it's gonna be okay.
Yep. Okay. And if you don't mind, stop sharing, and then we'll see if Leah is
Okay.
able to get it
Yeah, I'm
working.
sorry about, I was trying to send it to you on Box, and I'm still use Box, right? So
No. And actually, I have a Box account, but apparently I'm locked out of it, and I kept trying to reset the password, and I never got the email that tells you how to reset it. So I was like, I'm stuck.
My favorite
Password
trick is
limbo.
WeTransfer. It's a free file transfer for huge files. And I use that now all the time.
Oh.
yeah, I have somebody sent some stuff on I don't know how to do it. Now I guess it looks like you're back in Oregon. Last time I saw a picture of you were like in Vienna, like eating some fancy pastries at the ISS, and I was feeling very jealous about that, Dr. Brasel. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
Definitely sharing in those FOMO feelings with all of the International Surgical Week photos. This
yeah, it was pretty. It looked like it was pretty cool. Was it fun? I don't know. So a couple people may have went here. I don't know who else went.
It was really good to see people that I hadn't seen in a really long time. There were parts of it that were really cool, and parts of it that were, we talked a lot about internationalism and low and middle income countries in the city of Vienna that everybody spent a lot of money to get to. And I was left with a little bit of a, we're not necessarily walking the talk. Or we're talking the talk and not walking the walk in terms of inclusivity.
So you're trying to say some of it was performative and some of it was not actualized. Is that what you're trying to say, Dr. Brasel?
Good intentions, but definitely some room for rethinking if that's what if that's what the organization is gonna say, then sort of rethinking some of the ways of doing things. That's all.
How's COVID in Vienna?
Well, one of my residents that went now has COVID, so.
Oh no.
No, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad you had a good time. I'm sorry to hear about your resident.
Well, I'm getting a NIDA resident that went to plastic surgery boot camp in Southern California and also came back with COVID. So it's a matter of routine. It's now gotten to be routine.
Okay, well, I want to be mindful of everyone's time. So I think, and Kareem, welcome. I see that you're able to join us. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Love, you let me know, Dr. Anani, let me know whenever we are ready. And I will start sharing screen with the slides. I'm going to have, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying you're good to go.
Okay, perfect. Are you going to have any like fancy intro? I guess not. Okay, so welcome everyone. I don't see that we're live. Can you just confirm for me that we're going live?
Q&A says you're live. Students say they can see you.
Yep.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. We're really excited about you joining us for this Road to Residency. Today, we are hosting the General Surgery Road to Residency webinar. If you are on this webinar and you intended to be in the Med-Peds session, please know that that's a separate webinar and you should have received a different link for that. So today I'm very excited to host our third annual Road to Residency webinar for general surgery applicants. This is a wonderful effort that we are doing in partnership as Tour for Diversity with the Student National Medical Association and the Latino Medical Student Association. I am Minerva Romero Arenas. I am a founding member of the Latino Surgical Society. I have been a longtime mentor for the Tour for Diversity in Medicine. I practice general and endocrine surgery in Brooklyn. I'm part of the Weill Cornell Medicine system. And today I'm really excited to have an outstanding lineup of leaders in surgical education. We have with us Dr. Kareem Abdelfattah from UT Southwestern, Dr. Karen Brasel from Oregon Health and Sciences University, Dr. David Hughes from the University of Michigan, Dr. Andre Campbell representing the University of California, San Francisco, and Dr. Leah Lowenfeld from just down, actually across the river, Weill Cornell Medicine General Surgery Program. So welcome to everyone. I'm going to start off by giving you an overview. What we're going to do today is allow some time for all the programs to share with you a little bit about what makes their program great and why you as an applicant should consider them this application season. Then we're going to go ahead and go into some questions that I prepared to help answer some common questions that students have. And then we'll take some questions from the audience in live Q&A. So please feel free to submit these questions via chat. And I have designated some time towards the last segment of our session today to answer these live for you. So without further ado, I do want to welcome our panelists, and we'll go ahead and start with our presentations. First up, we have Dr. Brasel.
So thank you all very much, particularly Dr. Romero Arenas, for the opportunity to talk to you about our program. I'm a pretty informal person, so probably the things you're most interested in I don't have on my slides, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions now or later. What you can see here is somebody in the operating room. That's a standard slide. You can also see our tram. We are positioned, our primary hospital is at the top of a hill, and our outpatient clinics and our outpatient surgery center are at the bottom of the hill on on the river. So we use the tram. It's beautiful, but it is a mode of transportation for us. What you can see on the right is our residency during our resident ski day. That is one of the things that we do for wellness and morale. Many of us do it more than just annually on ski day, but that's our day during the year, the night before the day, and then that next night that all of the residents are given the day, night and day off, morale building, go ski, go snowshoe, go sit in the lodge, and just enjoy time together. Next slide. So our program was established in 1955. It is one of the largest program in the country. Like UT Southwestern, who you'll hear from later, we graduate 13 chiefs per year. It's the only allopathic surgical program in Portland. There is an osteopathic program with ACGME accreditation that is in Corvallis, about an hour and a half away. We do partner with them in terms of their residents come and work with us on our trauma, transplant, and peds rotations. We have a simulation center on the top of the hill. We also have another simulation center at the bottom of the hill. We primarily use the one at the top of the hill just because of convenience. And we use that simulation center on Mondays during our educational time. We have protected educational time from 6:30 to 12:30 for residents of all classes. The simulation program includes things like you might expect: open skills, laparoscopic skills, robotic skills, also things like ethics and professionalism, leadership development, conferences with radiology about, particularly for the first and second year residents, about reading CT scans, and more animal and cadaver labs. We have a departmental DEI council with several active committees within that council, an anti-racism committee, a community engagement committee, a residency focused committee, and an LGBTQIA committee, as well as a gender diversity committee. We have a resident council. This is a very resident run program that's chaired this year by a PGY4 and a PGY5 resident. And each residency year has 2 elected members of that resident council. And we also partner with the OHSU Center for Diversity and Inclusion, sorry. We have rotations at 2 rural sites that are about 4.5 hours away. One is in a community of about 10,000 people, and one is in a community of about 30,000 people. These are optional. They're not elective, but they are optional. At any given time, there are 2 residents at each of these sites. The rotations are either 6 or 12 months. So you really get immersed in a rural environment and understand not only what the practice of surgery is like in a rural environment, but what life is like as a surgeon living in a small community and serving that community. We have 9 other sites within the Portland community, which include a VA, Children's Hospital, and then other community hospitals. So you do get to see see and practice in a variety of settings, including 2 Kaiser hospitals. And we do have visiting medical student rotations that have opened up now that they were closed for a while during COVID. Next slide. So we do a holistic application review. We require 2 letters of reference, although most people submit either 3 or 4. We are participating in the supplemental pilot including signaling as well as work and life experiences. We also have our own supplemental application, which outlines our values, and we ask you to write a very short bit about how you feel that you will contribute to furthering those values as you live out your time as a resident and ultimately as a surgeon. Our interviews are going to be 100% virtual, and we have 8 categorical interview dates between October and early January. Next slide. So these are our case log data, and somewhat interestingly, our cases actually were not significantly affected by COVID in terms of actual numbers, although many more of those cases were made up of emergency general surgery at several of the hospitals in town, as well as continued to be cancer cases and trauma cases. Part of the diversity in our residency is we have 1 active duty Army resident per year. So we participate in the military match for that slot and then have 12 categorical residents. We also have between 8 and 10 preliminary residents per year. This is how to contact us. If I had to sum up what makes us unique and why you should come here, it is a choose your own and somewhat of a choose your own adventure residency. If you want to be a academically focused surgeon when you finish, we have a path to do that and have many people who have successfully done that. If you want to be a rural surgeon, we have a path to do that. And many people have successfully done that. If you want to be a surgeon in Portland or a similar sized city, we have many people who have done that and have successfully done that. And I think to a person, our residents would say they are happy. Happiness is I'm not from here. I feel like I can say this somewhat objectively. Happiness is a cultural value here. So again, thank you for your time and attention, and I will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and move on. We appreciate, again, everyone's time, and we'll turn it over to Dr. Abdelfattah.
Thanks so much. And I love getting to follow Dr. Brasel in any talk whatsoever, because I'm here representing the other largest surgery program in the country. And it's really funny. I think we mentioned this the last time we did this, that there's so many parallels between the programs, but I'm not nearly as detailed as Dr. Brasel, so I apologize to everybody, but hopefully this will be informative. So next slide. I love to show pictures of our residents. Sorry for the formality as opposed to something fun, but it is what it is. I think if you click again, our mission really, as we recruit this incredible group of people in front of you, is to train a diverse group of servant leaders in surgery. And we mean every word that's in that mission statement. It's actually whittled down to the fewest words I could possibly get it. But I think that if you talk to our trainees, I think that we are trying to echo this in every part of our mission. So, we're really excited to have them and hope that you can see some of yourself in this group of people. Next slide. We recruit from a pretty wide swath of the world. In fact, we look at pretty much every application out there, including international medical grads. If you look at our rosters online, the list of where they're from is actually on there. And you'll see we actually actively chase after people from around the world. We think that adds something to the mix of people that we have here. By virtue of being a large surgery program, we have the ability to do so, and we take full advantage of that. And that's really enriched sort of the culture and the group of people that we have here. So again, regardless of where you're coming from, your background, we welcome you to apply. Next slide. We are here in Central North Texas. It is one of the largest metroplexes in the United States, if you include Fort Worth. The economy here, I know that we're in a big downturn, and I wrote this probably a year ago, but we're in am I still on? Yeah, it looks like it. The economy here is pretty good, thanks to some tax benefits that big companies get, but it is driving Texas economics in the positive direction when most of the country has gone the other way. And again, it's probably one of the most diverse areas in the world. You know, our benefit from a patient population in Dallas that is almost split perfectly into thirds between Black, Hispanic, and white populations, and that really does a lot for the experience that our residents get. And people who are not from Texas are really worried about Texas politics. I don't blame you, especially for all the things that are in the news right now. But rest assured, if you end up in Dallas or Houston or one of the bigger cities, there's a fair amount of you know, open thought and liberalness. So you don't need to be worried about being amongst too many conservatives. Or, you know, something that we recognize can turn a lot of people away from coming here. Next slide. About where we work, I think this is something that's really unique about Southwestern. We're affiliated with probably about 12 hospitals at this point, but we only rotate the general surgery residents at 5 of them. And they're actually selected because of the experience that you get in the systems of each of these offerings. So Parkland, which is where I'm sitting right now, is our big county hospital. It's incredibly busy. We'll be operating all night, and it's where most of our traumas come to. Clements University Hospital is our main university-based hospital, which is right across the street. And that's a quaternary care referral center for very high-end stuff that they do. And most of our transplant and cardiac experience is done over there. The North Texas VA, if you don't have a VA in your system, you're probably lacking some aspect of training, because it's a very unique system. And if you find yourself working there, having some familiarity ahead of time is probably a very good thing. We do have a freestanding children's hospital, which is about to be replaced by a brand new freestanding children's hospital, which is really incredible for the amount of pathology that they get there. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but that's okay. And then Presbyterian is our private practice experience about 10 minutes north of main campus, where again, you're getting a little bit of a different flavor as far as the clinical environment that you would work in there. And all of this, if you click again, is on the background of UT Southwestern, which according to Nature is the #1 healthcare research institution in the world for the last 2 years running. I don't know if 2022 has come out, but it's really incredible to have such a wide swath of patients to take care of, #1. But if you're interested in research, it also augments everything you're doing from looking at things from a very wide population-based set of patients to look at. Next slide. I wanted to include some things that might differentiate us from others. And I think that these are the 3 things I could come up with. So we do offer some early specialization programs. We have a 4 and 2 vascular surgery program, which is a little bit unique. A 4 and 3 cardiothoracic surgery program, which you'll see at different programs around the country. And then brand new last year approved, but not in time for us to fill the slot, a 4 and 3 pediatric surgery early specialization program. None of those require research time. They're actually, the anticipation is that if you're going to do academics, you're going to do it after your training time. And I think it's a pretty unique thing for us to have 3 offerings. The other thing is we don't recruit specifically into those programs. They're internal competition only. So we select people out of the 2nd and or 3rd year class for those fast track programs. Something else that I think that we're on the cutting edge with, we just went live with this in the last couple of months, and we're extending this to other departments now, is there is a technology out there that's starting to be put into ORs around the country called black box technology, which we're using from a QI standpoint to sort of see what happens in the OR and what's impacting our patient care. And that same technology is now giving our trainees on-the-fly feedback about their motion in space and conservation of movement and all sorts of things when they're using minimally invasive techniques or robotic techniques. And so they're basically 2 hours after an operation, you can upload your case to this AI, and it gives you pretty specific feedback. It's a pretty incredible system. And I think, I hate saying something like this, that we're the first in the country to use that, but it's pretty impressive. And then the last thing, there are programs out there that are that have research time built into the program. We're actually incredibly flexible when it comes to that. We do not require anybody to go to the lab. About half the class typically does. And if they do, we can pretty much put you in any type of experience that you are looking for, and we can do it almost at any time in your residency, whether that's after your 2nd or 3rd year. And we have had somebody go after their 4th year, which was a little bit of a headache, but we have done it. So a little bit of flexibility in the academic development time. Next slide. I think that's it. Yeah, thanks so much. I didn't want to inundate you guys with a ton of information, but I'm here for any questions that you may have.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And we'll go ahead and leave this up for a second. We will have Dr. Andre Campbell from UCSF go ahead and bring up his slides next. And we can see that perfectly fine.
Good. I was just double checking. All right. So I just want to start by saying it's really great to be here with everyone. I just want to tell you a little bit about our program at UCSF, a general surgery residency training program. Our program's been around for about 70, 80 years. It is affiliated with the University of California, San Francisco, and I'll tell you all about different hospitals that we go to, and I'll share with you a little bit about San Francisco. If you want to reach me, you can reach me on Twitter also, and send me a note if you have questions about it. So we are the only surgical residency in San Francisco, and the residents actually get a really wealth of really wonderful opportunities to train in different places. There's UCSF Health, which is the central hospital that the residents rotate. So we sometimes call that the mothership. Getting ready to do a big rebuild of our hospital because of earthquake and other reasons. We have San Francisco General Hospital, which is where I work at. I'm a trauma surgeon at San Francisco General Hospital and professor of surgery. We have the San Francisco VA, which is one of the best VA programs in the whole country. They also rotate at Kaiser Permanente to kind of see what it's like to work in a health maintenance organization. It's really quite busy and really exciting. And California Pacific, which is a private hospital, which is Sutter, and the residents can go there, and within 2 months they do actually 200 or 300 cases. So it's really a wealth of clinical opportunities for them to develop their skills. So just to give you an idea, in San Francisco, there is only one level 1 trauma center for 800,000 people. During the day, 1.2 million people. It is the safety net hospital. We care for about 100,000 patients in our system here. It's quite busy. It's a busy level 1 trauma center that's been in place for about 50 years. And we really, the residents spend about 30% of their time there. It's one of the favorites for the residents because they really get a chance to come here and work very closely. It is a hospital dedicated to the care of the underserved and trauma patients. It was the beachhead for first-rate care for AIDS patients in the 1980s, and before that, different pandemics, including tuberculosis, and more recently the COVID pandemic that we had. UCSF is a tertiary quaternary university hospital. It's a very busy abdominal transplant program, doing livers, kidneys, pancreases, endocrine surgery, vascular and endovascular surgery. We have one of the original leaders who designed one of the prostheses, which was one of our faculty members who recently retired after he got the Jacobson Award for the American College of Surgeons. So also HPV oncology, sarcoma, neonatal and fetal surgery. Fetal surgery was actually created at UCSF by Michael Harrison in the late 1980s, where he actually did about 1,200 operations of sheep before he did it in real patients. CPMC is a referral hospital for Sutter. So it's a private hospital. They do really wonderful work there in high volume colorectal surgical practice there. And Kaiser is a very busy regional center for HPV, vascular surgery, and high volume community general surgery. And the San Francisco VA is a referral for hepatobiliary work and endocrine work. She also mentioned that one of the things that Matt's not talked about here is that we just hired a brand new chief of cardiac surgery. And he actually has been doing a lot of Tom Wynn. He came from Texas Medical Center, and he is doing wonderful things in terms of doing minimally invasive open heart surgery on patients here. Case numbers, everybody wants to know how many cases to give. So the total majors, a little bit over 1,100. So it's in 60th percentile. Chief year, it is 264, 41st percentile. Teaching assistant, 46th percentile. The strengths really are really big surgery, liver surgery, pancreas surgery, intestinal surgery, thoracotomies, total abdominal, or high vascular, alimentary tract, endocrine, and laparoscopic complex. So really busy high-end stuff. Things we're working on still are things like some of the pediatric work. The residents don't do as much as other places, breast and some of the plastic surgery stuff. So just to give you an idea of where our residents go to, this is our class that graduated here at 2020. vascular surgery, cardiothoracic surgery, HPV at University of Toronto, trauma and acute care surgery, transplant surgery at Penn, pediatric surgeon at Cohen's Children's Hospital, and surgical oncology. All of our residents do 2 years in the lab for professional development. Over the years, these are the numbers our fellowships have done during the last 5 years. 7 years, critical care, vascular colorectal transplant, clinical practice, cardiothoracic surgery, pediatric surgery, MIS bariatric, plastics, surgical oncology, breast and endocrine. So really the full range of general surgery at our place here. We have multiple training programs, as you know, general surgery. We also have vascular surgery. We have integrated vascular surgery. We have integrated cardiothoracic, a 4 and 3 cardiothoracic surgery program. We have the 0 and 5 vascular program too. So we have a full range of specialty training here, in addition to the 2-year trauma and acute care surgery at our place. A little bit about San Francisco, beautiful city. I think you've seen pictures of it, really wonderful scenery there. This is our Golden Gate Bridge and some downtown. That's the Bay Bridge there, just to kind of give you an idea. Really full, music scene, sports scene, obviously world championship team of the Warriors here. We wish the San Francisco 49ers were better, and the Giants have seen better days also, but they're working on coming back. But in the last 10 years, they did win 3 championships there, and it's been a couple of decades since San Francisco was in the top ranks there. There's music, there's food, and things have emerged after the COVID pandemic where things are much more lively. We're about 4 hours from the snow, so the residents will go to the snow and come back. We're close to Yosemite and national parks, all kinds of things down at Monterey. So it's really out and Carmel, so really beautiful place. So I just want to give you an idea of like who we are. Really great place to train, and happy to answer any questions about our absolutely outstanding residency training program. And I just want to thank Dr. Romero for having me back again this year. It's really great to see you, and looking forward to questions from the group. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. And we're going to go ahead and move on to Dr. David Hughes, representing the University of Michigan. And we can see your slides.
Yeah, he's on. You're on mute.
I think you're still muted.
You're muted. So
Thanks, everybody. Sorry about that. Thanks for having us back again this year. My name is Dave Hughes. I'm a general surgeon and endocrine surgeon here at the University of Michigan. I've been the program director for about 1.5 years or so, so I'm still relatively new at this, but hopefully give you a little bit of idea of what our program is all about and see if it might be of interest to you. So our program's in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We're about 45 minutes east of Detroit, Michigan. The University of Michigan obviously is in Ann Arbor, as is the health system. The hospital here is made up of a really great group of people. And I really think our residency is one of the best because of the people that make it up. These are just a couple of pictures of our residents. Over on the left-hand side, this is our intern class from last year. We recruit medical students from all over the country. We really try to stick to the mission that we're trying to train the future leaders in academic surgery in America by providing an educational, diverse, and supportive environment for them to learn in. We got a great group of residents. They hang out with each other outside of work. Down at the bottom here is the picture of the annual intern trip up to northern Michigan. Surprisingly enough, there are some beaches in Michigan. The water's a little bit chillier than maybe the east or the west coast, but it's a really beautiful place to spend time. Our program really emphasizes supporting our residents to start families during residency if they choose to do so. We have a very generous leave policy that allows our residents to take up to 12 weeks away to start families. The crux of our clinical exposure, we try to teach our residents how to operate autonomously. And one of the things we're most proud of is the number of cases that the residents finish with at the end of residency as a teaching assistant, where our residents are teaching the other residents how to operate. Our program has been around since about 1850s. We have 7 categorical residents per year. We are a 7-year program, so we have 5 years of clinical training, and then we have 2 years of research which is situated between the PGY3 and the PGY4 clinical years. This is John Kuna over here on the left-hand side. This is July 1st, his first day of internship. He was on the transplant surgery service and was pretty geeked out and excited that he was going on a transplant run on his very first day of residency. Over on the right-hand side is Crystal Taylor. I just got this picture sent to me last week by our vascular surgeon. She was doing an AD official on her own as a PGY3 resident. We have research that's included in the academic development time. It's 2 years of dedicated research, and our residents will do all kinds of different research, either basic science research, educational research, or health outcomes research. We have launch teams for the residents that start off when they're interns, which really helps them kind of figure out what they want to do academically during residency and in their career. Educational wise, we have rotations primarily at the main hospital, which is situated in downtown Ann Arbor. We have a children's hospital, a cardiovascular hospital, and a cancer center, all situated in downtown Ann Arbor. We have a VA hospital, which is situated right across the street from the main hospital. And we do have rotations in the community surgery realm, as well as trauma surgery up in Flint, Michigan. Michigan's a really great place to train, not because of the hospital that it's situated in, not because of the town that it's in, it's because of the people. The residents, I think, are some of the best in the world. They support each other. The faculty are dedicated to teaching not only clinical surgery, but also how to be an academic surgeon in the future. We are lucky enough this year to get voted #1 residency for general surgery again this year with Doximity. And I really attribute that to all the faculty and the residents here at Michigan. So here's some of our contact information. I really look forward to meeting everyone on the interview trail this year. Again, our interviews are going to be virtual. We are participating in the supplemental ERAS application. And we have a residency review committee that does a holistic review of all the applications that we get. So we take a look at every application cover to cover to select people for the interviews. So I look forward to meeting everybody, and thanks a lot for having us.
Thank you so much for sharing about your program. And we're really, again, are so thankful to all of you for taking the time to join us for this session. We're gonna wrap up the presentations with Dr. Lowenfeld, who's gonna be sharing a little bit about the program here at Weill Cornell Medicine. If you wanna go ahead and bring up your slides for us, and then we'll go into some questions. Okay, we can see your slides, great. And if you wanna unmute, and we'll get started.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. Hearing all these other great programs almost makes me want to do residency again. So you guys are all in store for some good years ahead. So I'm a colorectal surgeon at Weill Cornell on the Upper East Side in Manhattan. And I'm also one of the associate program directors for our general surgery residency. So obviously, most importantly are the residents in our program. We have about 65 residents over a 7-year program, so it's 5 clinical years, expected approximately 2 years of dedicated academic time, and that's allowed to be taken either after your 2nd year or after your 3rd year, variably sometimes before or after. We do have about 5 preliminary residents in the 1st year and about 3 preliminary residents in the 2nd year as well. And on the bottom, you'll see that we do have other programs that rotate with us as well. Interventional radiology, neurosurgery, OMFS, ENT. That's HSS is really orthopedic surgery, urology, and plastics. So our residents rotate mostly at these 3 sites. So the main campus at Cornell is located on the Upper East Side. Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center is actually just across the street. And so most of our residents live within walking distance from both of these sites. Jamaica Hospital is in Queens. Residents go there every single year. It's one of the highlights of their time, but I think balancing kind of the experiences that they have at all 3 centers allows them to learn from each and kind of internalize different ways of doing things, and actually makes us all better surgeons by learning how they do things at other places. As I said, all of our residents will do some sort of academic dedicated time, and that is pretty broadly defined in terms of whether it's basic science research, outcomes research, advanced degrees, 1 year, 2 years, other fellowships. It's pretty wide open in terms of what their interests are, and our residents are pretty varied in terms of their clinical interests and their academic interests. And because we are associated with both the university and very close to Memorial Sloan Kettering and Rockefeller University, there are a lot of local opportunities, but they're also allowed to go basically anywhere that they want. Most of our residents, I would say, do fellowship after their residency training. There's not one single fellowship that is more popular than any of the others. They are well trained to go into whatever fellowship they like, and also a variety of different locations really across the country. And that's kind of the quick summary of what our residency is about. We're an academic center. We're located in an urban environment, but with that comes a lot of different diversity and different opportunities.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So we are going to go ahead and go into a few questions, and I hope that we can get through as many of the questions that are pre-prepared, and we're asking the students to submit their questions. You can use the Q&A function so that we can go ahead and try to field as many questions as we can. I'm hoping that you can address a couple of things. We've seen a lot of initiatives aimed at diversity. You're in our Road to Residency series, which is hosted with Tour for Diversity in partnership with LMSA and SNMA. I wonder if you can talk a little bit about all of the progress that your program has made. What are the specific elements that you're using to tackle DEI initiatives? I know that many people have tried to really make headway in this the last 2 years, and I'm wondering if you can share a little bit about that, keeping in mind that we do have 5 of you to answer, and this is a really important question to our students. So I'm hoping that you guys can be thorough but concise. And I see Dr. Campbell's got his hand up, so we're gonna let you go first.
Yeah, I figured I would just get started with that. So we've been working really hard the last 3 or 4 years at UCSF in terms of our several different fronts. So the first thing is that a number of years ago, we developed more of a holistic view of our applicants, and as a result of that, we've been able to make big inroads in terms of underrepresented medicine. First thing is that we have over 22 years now, we've had a women chair, right? We've now had 2. So because of that, about 45 to 50% of our women. We've made big improvements the last several years, last 3 years, in fact, regarding underrepresented medicine. We have 8 categoricals who go through the residency. In the third year, I'm sorry, I'm on trauma call too, so I'm trying to balance things. So that'll make me go even faster. So let me finish what I got to say. So the first thing is that, so what we did is we made some changes. So 3 years ago, 3 out of 8 were underrepresented medicine. 2 years ago, it was 4 out of 8, 4 being Latino out of 8 residents. And this year, we have 3 Black women in the intern class, a Latino woman, and 8 total. So 7 out of 8 have been women. So tremendous inroads in changing things. We actually have more Black women in residency now than we've ever had in history for UCSF in 80 years. So we're really proud of that. In addition, other things we've done, we started diversity curriculum for upper level residents, mid-level residents, and first and second year residents. There is a DEI curriculum that has 3 or 4 sessions that we go through the year that's taught in surgery. We have one curriculum that's dedicated to surgery, but we also have joint sessions with anesthesia, with orthopedics, with OBGYN, and general surgery. So we've really done a great job in terms of doing stuff, right? So it is really tremendous changes we've done, and we're very happy and proud of what we've done. We still have work to do with that, and we've really, I think, this changing model of looking at things more holistically, making sure that we're able to do it, has really made a big difference. And I think the proof is in how we've been able to make 50% of our categorical residents from underrepresented medicine the last 2 out of 3 years.
I'll go next. I think I'm not nearly as sophisticated as Dr. Campbell. I'm also on trauma call, and I'm dressed like my residents. But I think the holistic review was one of our really important steps, and recognizing that that scores are biased, and they're historically biased against people who are underrepresented in medicine. So that was probably the biggest step that we've taken in the last 5 years. I also think over the last probably 2 years, we are talking very openly about racism, sexism, discrimination, microaggressions. We say right up front that we know evaluations are biased. They're biased against women. They're biased against those who are underrepresented. And by continuing to say that, we put it out so that we can recognize our implicit and explicit biases. And we have, as most places have, all of our residents go through an allyship curriculum that includes practicing some of the things that they need, phrases that they need to have when they see microaggressions happen, whether they are from nurses, patients, other residents, faculty. And then I think the last thing that I will say is the work that our DEI Council has done, particularly our Community Engagement Committee and our LGBTQ committee and the Gender Diversity Committee, although we are 50% women, similar to UCSF, having had strong female leadership here for a long, long time. Our residents who identify as women still feel discrimination from patients, from nurses, and in the evaluation process. And we recently had a gender bias in evaluation evening session, sort of like this, that was incredibly well attended, not only by faculty in our department, but across the university. And I think that highlights another thing that Dr. Campbell said: you can't do it alone. And so reaching across the university and across the country, and having people like Dr. Romero Arenas, who is a mentor to one of my residents here, connecting people, I think, is also really important. And I've probably taken more than my time. I'm sorry.
No, we appreciate it. This is a really important question. Leah, Kareem, David, whoever wants to go next.
I'll try to make it brief. I won't repeat anything that's already been said. The holistic review of residency applications, I think, is a game changer. It's moving away from the numbered filters that people use. It lets you dive into each applicant's application and look for their ability to lead DEI initiatives on their own, to have evidence of cultural humility. Those are the people you want to bring into your program if you're really serious about DEI initiatives. You also got to make sure you talk about it out in the open. Dr. Brasel is exactly right. You got to make it part of your grand rounds schedules. We have something called cultural complications, where we talk about those instances where people recognize either racial or gender discrimination, and talk about how to be a bystander in that, with changing how that happens. Tanisha had a question about residents being involved in those DI initiatives. They are probably the best people to help recruit diverse people to your institution. We've got several kind of resident led programs that are specifically to that, to help that pipeline to keep from leaking those important people out.
I'll jump in, and very similar across the nation. I think a lot of programs are doing the same thing. And you guys are listening to all very like-minded programs that I think are all very much in this space. The one thing I'll add, at least at Southwestern, we've actually started holistic reviews as of about 6 years ago. And something that we're working on and as an active project is not just recruiting from a diverse group of individuals, but being able to support those individuals when they get here. And I think that's been the next challenge, is making sure that support networks, you heard a little bit about sort of gender bias, but I think that that's probably for every group you can possibly imagine. There are different challenges that we're encountering. And so we want to make sure they have the resources to be supported. We have started an Office of DEI, and we actually were awarded one of these ACS grants for a curriculum around structural disadvantages this year, which has actually been fantastic. It's recorded. We actually make it available for anybody that's really interested, but that alone has actually expanded a lot of people's lexicon, as you heard Dr. Hughes and Dr. Brasel saying, around DEI issues and having open conversations, which has been really helpful.
Yeah, I just want to jump in and say we've got very similar programs in place. We do have an anti-racism committee, which is called an anti-racism committee because that's what it is. We have a women in surgery group. Both of them are very well supported by the leadership. I think that, as you brought up, one of the things is not just recruiting, but in retention of our residents who are either minorities or underrepresented or other sorts of under-supported residents. And what keeps being brought up at Cornell is that we need to actually do more in terms of recruitment and hiring of our faculty, because these residents want those mentors as well. And so it's kind of across the board in terms of the residents and the faculty.
Thank you all so much. And I think this is really important, for everyone that's watching us in the audience. It is not an insignificant ask for all of our faculty to spend an hour of their time after hours on call to be devoting their energy to answering your questions, and to really try to use this as an opportunity for recruitment. So I'm going to go ahead and just ask the next question. I'm so sorry, I have my dog.
I think being photobombed by your dog is just absolutely fantastic. It's so realistic.
They run the show here. I wanted to ask if you could address, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Does your program accept foreign medical graduates for categorical positions?
We screen them and we look at everybody holistically.
Do you have strict step scores that you are considering? I know that everybody said you look at holistic, but are there cutoffs that will screen people out of interviews?
We don't have cutoffs. Step one, there's going to be a combination of people that have it pass, fail, and some with a numbered score. We've completely taken out step one scores as even a metric in our holistic review this year, just to make it fair.
Yeah, we have no real cutoff, but if someone, I advise a lot of students all the time, and if your step one score is lower, if you've had scores because you haven't been through the pass fail era, we suggest that you take step two and get a higher score in it, so that makes you more competitive. But we don't have a cutoff.
Yeah, I'd say we have to look at the number. So if you did well on it, it is a way to shine. But it's not, a cutoff, a harsh cutoff.
It's very same.
I'll go last. We don't have a cutoff at all, but it is, as Dr. Lowenfeld said, we look at it in the totality of the application, I think, in the true spirit of a holistic review. So, when I talk to my committee about this, do they show some academic ability? Can we train this person and they have some ability? So whether that's shown through grades, step one, whatever it might be, that's fine, but there's not a cutoff necessarily.
Thank you so much. I do want to ask, because I get this question often, there are people who take time off in their path to between medical education and residency application. What would be your advice regarding letters of recommendation? Do letters of recommendation from non-surgeons carry more or less weight in your eyes?
I'll jump in. I personally want to see letters from surgeons. I feel like that's the wrong thing to say, but yeah, it's just the truth. I mean, if it's somebody else, it's nice, especially if it's a research mentor or somebody who really knows you. But in truth, we want to see people who have worked with you and got to know you in a surgical sense, because it is, I feel, a little bit different.
I say research mentors okay, but I want to hear from surgeons. That's really what I want to hear. I want to hear, how did you do, clinically, that kind of thing. As far as time off, I have to say that, 50% of our students take time off and they do an extra year. And I am just so jealous. I wish I was able to do that when I was a student, right? So, if you're doing something fun, God bless you, and I'm jealous, right? But we're always looking for people who are doing interesting things, have done fun things. Folks done things before medical school, in the middle of medical school. So I don't think it does not affect you. Now, if it's after medical school, then you got to figure out like what's going on, because that's unusual, because most people graduate then go into residency. But if you're taking time off for whatever reason, sick relative or some medical condition, right, then you need to explain that, because I mean your essay is really where you're going to tell us your story, your journey into surgery. Like, what is it about the things that we do, right, that you, I'm sorry, I got somebody got run over by a Mack truck and I'm trying to manage that, right? So this is just the reality of the life of a trauma surgeon. So my partner's down there with the patient, so we're doing okay. So I'm sorry about the interruptions from my point of view. That's what I'm dealing with.
I want to see letters from surgeons, and one of the reasons is that when we do our holistic review, we actually, one committee member looks at all students from a particular institution, so that they start to understand what the letters actually mean. And if they end up with letters from non-surgeons, they don't really have a comparator, and it is difficult to understand what is actually being said. I mean, yes, they're all in a language that we can read, but it is the reading between the lines that is an important part of looking at letters of recommendation.
Yeah, I'd say you don't want your application to have a big like black box question mark of like, where did you spend this time and how was it meaningful to your career goals and your journey to this point. Same with your letters. Like if you have no letters from any surgeons, that's raises a huge red flag that you would need to address. If you have mentors who know you well and they can tell you like why you got to this point, whether it was important research, important outreach in the community, something that really kind of shows what your trajectory is.
Wonderful. What would you say? I did note that a couple of your programs have special interest areas for rural surgery, for subspecialty designations. What would you say to the general surgery applicant who maybe want to express interest in those specialty tracks?
I would say look for programs that have clinical opportunities for you to explore those, but maybe not slam every door shut right out of the gates, because people change their mind a lot during residency. So, make sure you get a nice broad exposure. That's what general surgery residency is all about, to prepare you for whatever you end up doing. And that could be any fellowship. You have no idea, really.
Yeah, we have a lot of students who interested in global surgery at our place because we're one of the first places to have that, and a lot of students do great work. They get a chance to, when they become residents during their research time, they could get extra degrees. They can also do global surgery research. So we have the Center for Surgery and Anesthesia, right, the Chester Center, which is really outstanding opportunities for the students to do international work if they choose to do it. But some people want to do that. Some want to do health service research. basic research, outcome research. So whatever you want to do, you want to make sure you choose a place that can open your mind during the professional development time, because that's really where you get a chance to develop into an academic surgeon. And that's, places like you have here, we're interested in academic surgeons, and that's really what we want you to be, because then that's what you get a chance to be when you come to a place like UCSF or any other wonderful institutions that I'm on here, have the privilege to be on with tonight.
I'd say one more thing is just, it is a match. And so if you know that you have a passion about something, then don't apply to a program that doesn't have that. So I will say, like, Cornell does not have a great rural surgery program. Like, we're in New York City, it's just not going to happen. But if you wanted to do trauma similarly, like, don't go to a place that doesn't have a level 1 trauma center. Find out it. If you're not sure, be wide open, excuse me. But if you really have something where you know that this is going to be what you're passionate about, and you can highlight that program's going to want you just as much as you want them. And that's the best kind of match there can be.
I do have another question, and then I'm going to wrap this up. We do have a lot of applicants, as we said, who have certain gaps. For people who have international experience, and particularly for foreign medical graduates, a lot of times they do have the opportunity to do observership, but many times they don't necessarily have clinical experience the way our US medical graduates or our US-based FMGs do. What kind of advice would you offer for that applicant to help strengthen their application?
So I think if somebody has had no experience in a US system, we've actually had quite a bit of experience with many students like that who match, and many of them struggle a lot, and they don't struggle because they're not smart, because they don't care. They struggle because they may not know the names of any of the wound care things that we use. They may not know the names of any of the sort of the day-to-day things that students who've trained in a US medical center have familiarity with. They've not used the same electronic health record. And so not only are they trying to learn the intern job, they're trying to catch up. And so I actually encourage those students to apply to a preliminary year as well as to get categorical positions, just because I think it doesn't mean that that's the only option, and it does depend on what their experience is, but I hate to see somebody start out behind and really, really struggle. I don't think that's the best way that we can support those people. It's, to me, that's one of the things that a preliminary surgery year can actually be used to great advantage for.
I'll piggyback. I agree completely, and even more so, and I know it's going to be unpopular to say it, but I don't know too many programs out there that are taking people with no US experience into a categorical position. So the prelim year is a fantastic opportunity, and I agree with Dr. Brasel. Like, that's really the pathway that students would be seeking.
Thank you both so much, and I think that this kind of candid conversation is really essential. I'm going to piggyback a last question. How can a current prelim resident stand out if they're in the application cycle now?
Hopefully they were an awesome intern. If they were an awesome intern, that's usually going to be reflected in the letters of recommendation that come from the program director. A word from a fellow program director that this was the best prelim resident I've ever seen goes a long, long way.
Yeah, when you're a prelim, just remember you enter into a unique experience where you're almost doing interviews every monthly as you go on a rotation. So you have to really show your best. You have to work hard, and you have to make sure you do an outstanding job. And if you do that, then that'll be recognized. And, it's hard. I deal with a lot of students who don't match, and I've been dealing with that for about 15 or 20 years. And it's a difficult situation. I work with the dean's office and helping folks, find prelim positions. And that's a difficult way to go with it. But once you get one, you got to make sure that you're always working hard, always shining, and always doing an outstanding job, so you can get a categorical position. Because, when I talk to students, I'm always talking about, you want to be a categorical surgery resident somewhere. That's what the goal should be, so you can finish and be a surgeon. And that's really what we want you to do if you're interested in surgery, because then that means that you will be a surgeon.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again, everyone, for your time. I do want to remind our audience that these recordings are going to be made available on the SNMA Facebook website, Facebook page. And we had a whole series introducing the match, introducing the application, and how to write an excellent personal statement. We do anticipate having another session specifically as we get closer to the match on the topic that Dr. Campbell just raised regarding the SOAP, or what we used to call the scramble. So again, I really want to thank our panelists so much for taking the time. I know that many students have already expressed in the Q&A, they're really thankful for your time. And you have all of the contact information. Please don't hesitate to reach out to all of us on Tour for Diversity, to reach out to these programs who are really interested in recruiting a diverse class of residents. And everyone, have a great night. Good luck on the general surgery application season.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
guys.
Thanks,
Have a great night.
Have a good night.
Minerva.